Hey everyone, it's Shakira again. Just to remind you guys of where I am at and where my field placement is. I am here in Huntsville, and my placement is at Siraj Family Home, an intensive therapeutic foster care agency. So basically what I did this week, I just want to, recap you guys of what I did this week and how it will tie in with the topic that I want to talk about today. So this week I had the opportunity to actually do my own session this week, my own individual session this week, and I was able to talk to a client. And as I was talking to the client, we became really engaged and we established a really good rapport. And I'm also, tried to use a little bit of self-disclosure with her so that she would open up. So that was actually pretty cool that I was able to talk to her and get her to open up a little bit. This week I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about confidentiality, and I guess it will go hand in hand with being a mandated reporter, as I talked about on my last video. So this week I was talking to a client, and the client had, I was talking to her, and I had spoken, and I did let her know that I will not, report anything that her and I talked about unless she talks about harming herself or harming someone else. So, her and I got to talking, and then we were talking, and she did state that, she was wanting to hurt herself, and she was wanting to, she was hearing voices, and, she wanted to go ahead and hurt herself. And so, for me, it was kind of shocking because I didn't know what to do at the time. But I do remember, confidentiality needed to be broken at that moment because she did talk about, hurting herself. So a lot of the times when it comes to confidentiality, I always had that question like, where does the confidentiality line? Where do we stop it? How do we keep things confidential? How can we continue to gain someone's trust? If we continue to, spill their business. But, I did have that fear this week. I was like, man, she's not going to want to, confide in me anymore. We're not going to have that relationship. But, I did think about it, and I was like, I think I would rather her, us not have that relationship rather than her hurt herself, and then, I feel bad. So, I did have to report it. Going back to us talking about mandated reporters, I did have to go ahead and report that, she was wanting to hurt herself, and, she was hearing the voices, and we actually ended up taking her to the hospital. She was admitted to the hospital, and I had to actually write up an incident report and go through all of that training and things like that, as far as going ahead and writing the incident report. So this week, after all this was done, I went ahead and talked to my supervisor and, asked her if she thought I had did the right thing. I always go back and talk to my supervisor about if I had done the right thing or what should I have done differently. And, my supervisor was really talking to me about the confidentiality and what it means to have to, let someone know what's going on and break confidentiality if someone is threatening to harm themselves. So I learned a lot this week when it came to that, and I learned that no matter the relationship, or if I was afraid of us breaking that bond, or breaking that bond, I didn't want her to end up being hurt and then and it be on my watch. So that was just something that stuck out to me this week about, talking about confidentiality and talking about being mandated reporter. Another thing that stood out to me this week when it came to confidentiality is, my supervisor and I were talking, and we were actually standing outside of a parking lot, and I actually said a client's name, and my supervisor was like, we can't do that. We can't actually say the client's name, or we cannot we cannot say the client's name out in public due to breaking confidentiality. So that was something else that I learned this week when it came to confidentiality. It kind of was silly to me because I'm like, what do you mean I can't say her name? But it kind of made sense afterwards where, breaking that confidentiality or stating the client's name could actually allow someone else may know them, or it is breaking confidentiality. So those are just some of the things that I had learned this week when it came to being a mandated reporter, and doing talking about confidentiality, I learned that no matter what, I need to report the things that are going on if they're talking about harming themselves or someone else. And, when it comes to my supervisor and I talking, or me talking to anyone, it'll be better to, I guess, say their initials instead of going ahead and actually saying their actual name due to confidentiality. Hope you guys enjoyed my spiel this week and what I've learned this week. I'm learning so much at my placement, and I'm so glad I'm able to share it with you guys. Until next time.